Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Tree, the LPC, and thank you for tuning back in this week to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. I appreciate all of the input that you guys gave last week. I know that it was a very heavy episode for me, but I was glad to be able to share my story. But as we move further into the season, I am going to be having a host of new guests that are going to be coming to share their story and share how they help others deal with mental health. Today, I am so blessed to have with me Miss Charmaine Fuller Johnson. She is a life consultant as well as a podcast host, and she's going to be sharing with you guys a little bit today about how she helps mothers who have ADHD learn to plan out and strategize their lives so that they can have improvement in how they cope with managing those stressors. So she is the podcast host of the We Ain't Normal show, and she's also the founder of The Charmed Life. Please welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Ms. Charmaine Fuller Johnson. Hey, Charmaine, how are you doing today?
Girl, you good with that?
I try, you know. How you doing today, girl?
I am doing fabulous. So, yes, I do all of those things, helping moms that are neurodiverse, ADHD, autism, all that good stuff, get their life in order because we have a lot of noise going on in our head. There's a lot of stuff going on. I am neurodiverse myself. I have a neurodiverse family. I started out doing this with strictly supporting moms that had kids with autism. That's how this started out, and supporting them and getting like all of the different pieces that include their child's IEP, life plan, helping to get all those pieces together. It turned out into that's not what they really needed. What they really needed was their life was just, they didn't know where to start. It just wasn't with the IEP or with the therapies and things their kids had. It turned out that their life, like everything was jacked up. And because I am not a jack of all trades, what I help moms do is get clarity on what's going on so you know where to go. Because sometimes that's the biggest struggle is that you know something's messed up, but because everything else is crazy and noisy, you don't know where to start. And it leaves you stuck and just repeating the same ish over and over again. That's not helping you out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that has to be something that, for you also being neurodiverse, that had to be something that you had to learn to do for yourself first. What was that process?
So for me, organizing things is my superpower. When it comes to paperwork and that's a puzzle piece. When it comes to organizing my areas in my home, that is not my superpower. When it comes to, so it's like these splinter skills, I'm really good and this gets me juiced up. But if you ask me to do my laundry or order groceries, I am not your girl. Can I do it? Yes. I geek out over money too. So there's certain things that I just really geek out about. It's other things. It's look, can I hire this out? Can I give it to a kid? Can I let my husband do it? And I had in this journey, I had to learn that. I had to use my own process to learn why this was so jacked up. And it's because it was something for me that I wasn't supposed to be doing or handling anyway. I was people pleasing, trying to do the most and be the most for everybody else. So that's how I got more deeply into this work and helping other women, because it was I know I'm not the only person struggling with being team too much. I can't
not team too much. That's one of my terms at work. But yeah, so you were struggling with being team too much, and you used that to kind of build your life consulting practice. Wow. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you even came up with the idea of the Charmed Life?
So that's just how my life turned out. Right. And it just was a great play on my name. And when I say figure it out, I want your listeners to understand that don't mean stuff still ain't effed up from time to time. It just means that now I have a framework for me that allows me to get back on track. And so that's what this was, is that once I realized there's this rhythm. Once I realized the rhythm, then life became a lot more sweet or a lot more charmed. So that's how I came up with the name. And I wanted it to be something inviting and something that you kind of want a life that's light and airy and flow and not always on the grind. Like, I know that's what I wanted. And when I used to work with people in coaching, that they were like looking for it to just stop feeling like they were in a hamster wheel or they were chasing something every day.
Yeah.
Because that becomes not so fun. Like, life then becomes a got to instead of I get to do this, I get to do that, and that flow.
Yeah. So it kind of creates a freeness for people to really just allow themselves to navigate through life without the pressure.
And define what that means for them. Because what's charmed for me definitely will not be charmed for you.
I can definitely agree with that, but I definitely want a charmed life because my life is in shambles most of the time. So I can tell you, and definitely the organization piece of it. So being able to work with mothers and really help them to find out what the charmed life looks like for them. Like, what strategies do you use? Because it would seem that it would be tailored for that particular person.
Right. Everything is custom because there is no cookie cutter for this. And the first piece, the one that everybody wants to skip over, is the clarity piece. When I get moms in, they go, my planner is they want me to help them plug in more. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. They want me to help them plug in more shit to their day. They want me to help them find, when I tell them I help them find time, they sometimes think, well, okay, maybe she got an extra clock and we finna plug in some more stuff to do. No. So I help them get clear. There's 3 areas. You want to get clear on what's going on now. The part that's most often skipped because you're stressed out. And I say, well, what's going on now? I'm stressed. That's what's going on now. Okay. Now, so we break down the life areas. We determine what's going on now in each of those life areas. In the clarity piece, we get clear on what do you want to go on in those life areas. Now we know what's going on. Let's figure out what we want to go on. So I always have people start with the negative because when you're stressed, it's sometimes so much easier to go, this is what's happening that I don't like. Now, this is what I want to happen. And then I have them get clear on how they want it to feel. Because feeling is everything. Everything we do is to feel a certain way, regardless if we admit to it or not. The PTO that you volunteer for that you really don't want to, you're volunteering because you want to feel like I am the good mom. I am the mom that shows up at these events. These last minute things we do for our kids when we don't want to, it's because we want to feel like we're a good parent. We want our kids to feel like we're always there for them. Everything we do is geared to have us feel a certain way. So I want moms, when I work with them, to get really clear about where you are, where you're going, and how you want it to feel when you get there. Because that's technically what you're going for, is you're going for that feeling.
Right.
The second piece is we simplify it. We take out all the shit that don't matter. This is where we find out you don't need to be doing laundry and you got kids at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
This is where you discover that you don't need to be cleaning dishes every night. Hell, you don't even need to be cooking every night because that's not for you, especially if you have kids. I always tell moms if you can afford the HelloFresh boxes or the Blue Apron, because they have these recipe cards that are broken out. Like my 12-year-old can follow these recipe cards.
Oh, wow.
My daughter that's on the spectrum can follow these recipe cards. If you have someone that can read and comprehend, you might need to help a little bit, but they should be able to take over. That's how I got my kids and my husband to take over cooking or the food boxes. I don't have to cook every day.
Okay.
So the simplify helps you to establish boundaries or start to enforce boundaries. Because moms, I love you all. You're great at setting boundaries. I'm great at setting boundaries. But don't let them little brown eyes and chubby cheeks come and tell me how much they're struggling. It is so hard for me to enforce. So oftentimes in this step, when we simplify, we're finding out what you need to enforce, what you need to pull back on, what's important, what's really not important, what's urgent, what you've been telling yourself is urgent, but really ain't urgent. So it really helps to pull out all the noise that you've been experiencing, boundaries, time blocking, all that type of stuff we deal with in that. And then the last piece is now we organize things. We organize and track. Tracking is everything. That is the only way you know if you're doing or going in the direction that you say you're going to go. So often plans are set and you're just so busy working toward them, you don't even stop to assess to see if it's working for you anymore, if you need to do something else, if this is the bomb.com and you can keep going forward. We just keep working because we're in this space of hustle grind culture and just keep going. Don't stop, just keep going. And so this step allows you to organize things in a systematic way that will allow you to come back and check up, that will allow you to set up your day in a way that hits those target feelings, make sure you're working toward where you're going, and making sure that you're cutting out the noise in between. I say that your daily action plan, AKA your to-do list, AKA your schedule, should have no more than 5 things per day, especially if you're a mom. Because let me tell you, the gag is you will not get 10 to 15 things done.
Right.
What happens is your kids come in the middle, our life happens in the middle, and then it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night and you go, oh shit, I had like 5 other things I had to do. And so then you stay up and you're trying to finish these 5 extra things so you can check them off at the max 5.
Yeah. Because, I really like that. I like the 5 thing because like I usually tell people 3 in therapy, but I think 5 is workable, you know, as long as they have the time to kind of manage those things. And I assume, you know, with motherhood, I'm not a mother, so I can't speak to that, but I assume with motherhood, obviously, you know, you may not be able to limit that list to 3. So with 5, is there a significance to the 5?
So there's a significance, and it's up to 5 because 3 are the top 3 things that you're doing toward where you want to go. The other 2, if you have them, is stuff like ordering groceries or making a doctor's appointment. Okay. Or, you know, it's those filler things that are not necessarily a part of the goals that you have set. I don't calculate things that I do automatically on my to-do list, which is why I only say 5, because what ends up happening is I end up flowing into, oh yeah, I have some space here. Let me order groceries. Oh yeah, I have some space here. Let me throw a load in the laundry. Oh yeah, I have some space here. And so it's not necessarily a to-do. And I often suggest to my clients that I've worked with, if you already do it without being reminded, don't put it on your list. Okay. Like, don't put it there. Leave the space there. That's why I say up to 5, because if you know you'll be done with those 5 things by noon and you have the rest of the day, then you can fill it in. Or if you know that these 5 things, like you can only do one thing at 8 o'clock, but then you have all this space and you can't do the second thing till like 2 o'clock. Well, now you have space in your day to be able to flow and add in and plug in what you know you need to plug in. I am not the let's add because if I added every last thing that was in my brain on my list, it would just be a shit show and I would be overwhelmed and I wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah, I think that's why I always tell people to stop at 3, but I like the 5 because it is, like you said, filler items. And so it gives, you know, those things that you have to do, but maybe you don't necessarily write down that could also be a part of the 5. But I love that the breakdown of how it sounds like you work with clients in terms of really being able to like identify what it is they desire. A lot, as you were speaking about it, a lot of it that resonated with me seemed like it kind of goes along with what we call reality therapy, where it's like, what are you doing? Is it working? And then let's identify what those changes are that you need to do. And so it seems like you kind of use that modality. I know you said you're not a therapist, but so a lot of the principles that are definitely, I have too. So we have that in common as well. But it definitely, those principles seem to be rooted in helping people change their behavior, which is something that a lot of people don't want to do, but need to do. So I'm assuming when people come to you, they've already decided that what they're doing is not working.
Exactly. They have that awareness that it's not working, but they don't know why. And I use that reality piece because the problem with law of attraction and a lot of this, you know, just think big and do whatever you want. It doesn't take into account your reality right now. Like you can dream. I always say you can dream big, but like if you want to make $1 million in a year and you got 3 kids, a dog, a husband, a full-time job, and you $10,000 in debt, you can do it. Like you can do it in a year if you like say F these kids and you put yourself in a box and you like, but that's not going to happen. That's not your reality right now. So what about if we just say, can we get to my first 1,000 a month or my first 500, or can I at least make my car note with what I want to make in my business and then build from there versus going all or nothing. And that's one of the things with neurodiverse people is that it's this black or white, all or nothing type of thinking. And then helping them to go, it's not really all or nothing. Like there are other options and helping them to be able to build those options.
Right. I think that is so important that you kind of highlight that all or nothing thinking piece, because I find that when I'm working with clients who, who have ADHD and they are dealing with that, it's like a lot of them feel defeated and feel like they just can't accomplish anything because they don't lack the motivation. They lack the motivation to be able to get things done if they are not able to accomplish one single thing. How do you support people like in your field? Like, how do you support people who maybe lack that motivation?
So it's breaking things down to what's really true, right? So is that really true? But is it though? Okay. But so it's keep asking that question. Well, why is this important? Okay. Well, why? Well, why? And then once you get down to normally like the third or fourth why, they're like, oh my God, I can put this on the back burner. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I see I really don't have to do it. I can give it to somebody else. Because one of the biggest, I guess, challenges, complaints, whatever you want to call it, from moms in my demo is that I'm the only person that can do it. And when I ask somebody to help me, nobody gets what I'm talking about. So it's quicker for me to do it myself. And it's like, okay, so what makes that true? Well, I've asked my husband to do X, Y, and Z before, and he either did it wrong or didn't do it. Okay, so how did you instruct? What did that look like? So you just like keep pulling the threads. Like, what did that, okay, why? Why do you feel like nobody supports you? Because I've told them before. Well, how did that look? Tell me how you told them. And so again, once you start pulling those threads, it's like, oh, my husband's not stupid. He's not being a butthole. He just it wasn't clear. How I gave direction wasn't clear because I was overwhelmed and wasn't clear. So I gave unclear instruction as to what I wanted, when I wanted, because men are you got to give what you want, when you want it done, how you want it to look. You have to be like, it's got to, be linear. And it's like, if you're giving him woman-sized instructions and expecting him to fill in the blanks, most men are not going to fill in the blanks.
Gotcha.
So helping them to see how maybe they're communicating with others is keeping them overwhelmed. And so what happens when you have sometimes, from my experience, somebody that's neurodiverse ADHD, if I feel like I have to keep asking you, then it frustrates me. And I feel some sort of way about myself. So I don't want to keep asking or reaching out. I can just do it myself. And in the short run, that works. In the long run, you're resentful, you're overwhelmed, you're burned out.
Right. Yeah. And all of those things can lead to a whole host of other problems. So
depression, anxiety, ask me how I know. Depression, anxiety.
How do you know?
I have had it and experienced it all because I didn't want to. That's the whole part of self-aware and fucked up. Like I'm reading all the books, girl. I'm doing all the things. I should know this. And I wasn't communicating with my team, AKA my family, onto what I really needed. I was giving my husband half-assed directions that were not clear. We weren't clearly communicating as to what was going on, what I actually needed, because I wasn't even clear as to what I actually needed. And I thought that every time the lie that I told myself was, if I slow down, everything is going to crash and burn. It's going to fall apart. It's going to be a fire. And I'm not going to be able to pull through. And again, through going through therapy, well, why do you think that? I could not come up. I got mad at her because I couldn't come up with a clear reason to validate this anxiety riddled fear that I had in my head if I slowed down. Like I couldn't come up with, there was no explanation at all. And, I've done that. Like I said, I'm kind of a money nerd. That does not mean that my finances are, Dave Ramsey. No, because when you get in these spaces of anxiety, all of the training that you have goes out the window. So now my poison of choice is shopping, shoes and purses. Those and new tools for business that I don't absolutely need. Like, oh, that looks cool. Let me try this out. Let me pay for the full year because I can. Right. And so then it turns into something else. And you realize that these patterns, what's interesting is that these patterns, will show up in some of the most unexpected ways. Like the pattern of, for me, not feeling like I can trust anybody, right? Which comes from being a latchkey kid and having to do everything on my own. So not asking for help turns into that. Like I can't ask for all of that. Like as you begin to dig, you go, oh, this is showing up in my money. This is showing up in my marriage. This same pattern is manifesting in different ways in different parts of my life. And it's that, it's just because you know better. Like, sorry, Maya, but just because you know better don't mean you're going to do better. Because first, breaking a belief system or a paradigm or whatever you want to call it is like continuous. First, you become aware of it and then you keep doing it, but you go, oh, snap. I'm supposed to be doing this. And I think depending on how deep the paradigm goes, you can do that for up to 6 months to a year where you're catching yourself after the fact. Right. And so you have to give yourself grace in that, because I had a feast or famine thing with money, right? Like I get a lot of it and it's like, let's blow it. Let's blow it. Let's blow it.
So I guess I misunderstood. I thought you were hoarding money at first. So
girl, no. No. No.
So I got you. I was like, okay, well, I mean, that sounds like a good problem to have if you holding on to it, but yours is blowing the money. So
I love to spend.
Okay. I hear that. That it has its own challenges as well. Yes. But I am a little curious to know. I know that you said that you found out you were neurodivergent. How did you discover that? Like, was this something that you started in childhood, or is that something that you learned in your adulthood?
So I got diagnosed in adulthood.
Okay.
But the symptoms, like as I was actually doing a questionnaire for my son, and I started answering as me.
Okay.
And I said, oh, snap, this isn't my assessment. This is his assessment.
Okay.
And I kind of left it. Like, I didn't immediately go to like see a doctor. Like, oh my gosh, like I was answering for my, it was just like, that's interesting. Like, I wonder if, and so that's where I kind of figured it out, because my entire life, I was the girl that was, oh my God, baby, you are so smart, but you make some of the dumbest choices. Like, how come you can't seem to finish anything? Like you have all these great ideas, but you never see anything through. How do you ever expect to be successful if you never see anything through? Yeah. Or, things like that. Like I heard throughout life, I would do stuff like, it's a wonder I am alive and I'm not in Mexico in a trunk, because when I lived by myself, I used to leave my keys in the door. I would leave my door open, because if there was too many things going on in my head, it would just be like, oh yeah, I would leave my apartment door open. Wow. It just keys in the car, like it just stuff that you would be like, she's so bright, but like, how is she not connecting these people? Like, what the hell is going on? And I just thought that there was something broken. Like I needed to work harder. I needed to have more schedules. I needed to, and none of that, like it would work for maybe a week. And I would be really excited for about a week. And then it would just, my brain would be like, yeah, no, that's not what we're doing. That's so not what we're doing. And it would go back into like, I just thought by working harder and by doing more things that I would get it. And I got actually diagnosed like maybe a year and a half ago, year and a half to like during COVID, because it really, like during COVID, it really came out to play. because everybody's in the house. Now my routine, like I'm very routine. Now my routine is disrupted because now everybody's in the house and I'm irritable. I'm forgetting stuff. I'm not cooking. We're ordering. Like it's like everything was just like everywhere all at once. And so I'm like, okay, like what's going on? Like, am I losing my mind? Like what the fuck?
Everything was just disarray. Like the routine piece of it is so important.
Yeah.
It is so important to managing ADHD just in general. So for you, in terms of like you getting on track with you getting your system back together in the midst of COVID, what was that journey like?
I had to do my own stuff as well as I was in therapy, right? So I had to get clear again because what was clear now was not clear. And so I had to get clear again on what was going on in each life, like in all of my life areas. Like I had to sit down and do that, even though my brain was saying, we don't have enough time. Something's burning. We don't have enough time. I had to go through that process. I had to rewrite what I wanted because life had changed, that had changed. Right. And I had to get re-anchored into my feelings, AKA my values, because I had completely blown those during that time. And then because my kids were home, I'm now doing the most again. And my husband's home. So now they are like getting Saturday every day of the week. Like, right. Mom is cooking, like all the things I was doing. Like I found myself back into those old, like people pleasing patterns because I'm trying to make things easier for it's just that. So I had to work on my people pleasing during that point too, because that was a big thing. And then I had to start my tracking. During COVID, we just kind of like F everything. I mean, if we don't die in our house,
might as well be happy.
But I figured out that was actually causing my brain to go, okay, like malfunction, like what is going on? And that I really needed to do I work out, not because I'm trying to be a size 2, but I work out 4 days a week because if I don't, I can't focus as well as I would like to. I'm irritable. And it just hurts. Yeah. And not, so I work out to help my brain do something else and find something else to do and to be present. Because that's the only time that I'm just focused on my breath. I'm not thinking. Like most people sit down and meditate. My meditation is cardio and yoga.
Wow.
Because I'm breathing. I'm trying to make sure I don't pull nothing. Like I'm really in touch and in tune with my body. So I have to work out because I need that grounding piece of what it gives me.
Yeah. I can definitely get that. And I mean, of course, therapists, we always like, meditate, download this app and try that or whatever. I struggle with meditation because I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. I say that I am just because of how my brain works and how I function. And I have systems in place as well, but I've never been diagnosed with it. So, can't diagnose myself, but no, I can understand how the working out piece would be helpful, especially the yoga part of it or whatever. So you found strategies to kind of help you manage your life. And it sounds like you're in a good place right now. I don't know.
Today is fabulous, right? Today I've got it. And just a little side caveat for the yoga. I do yoga to trap music. Here is why.
Wow.
If you can maintain your sense of present with some T.I. or Migos, whatever goes on outside in your life, you'll be able to pretty much recenter yourself. And, it's great to do yoga to like chimes and waterfalls, but how much of our life is really chimes and waterfalls, right? You got beeping horns, you have all of this stuff competing for your attention. Like, do I dip it low or do I do this down dog? Like, okay, this.
Okay. Not the downward dog. Okay. But no, that's actually pretty cool. I've seen, like, I'm in Atlanta. So I've seen like different things like that being offered like in certain parts of Atlanta. I don't have time.
Trap yoga. Trap yoga it's like everything I think the Black soul needs, because again, my life is not bells and gongs all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes my life is an 808 beat and I gotta focus on the melody and not the beat. Wow. How do I do that?
That was very poetic. I appreciated that.
Don't worry.
So you have managed a lot of things, and I know you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier in terms of your connection to the idea of being self-aware and effed up. Can you speak a little bit more to how you connect to that idea?
Primarily in the area of money. Again, I am so aware about money. Like I am, as far as the mechanics of it, right? The spreadsheets, the charts and graphs, entering transactions in, all, like I am so aware with that, and even self-aware with the work that I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's this journey, and I want everybody to know that there are going to be times where you are just going to be self-aware and fucked up. I mean, that's just the trajectory of life. You cannot always just be self-aware and on a cloud. How do you learn? How do you grow? And so again, from that space of money, like I knew that I had a spending plan. Girl, I had a spending plan. And I said, fuck this spending plan. I'm about to get this bag. Fuck this spending plan. I'm about to go out to eat. And I knew on a cognitive level that this was not the plan that I had. I went and spent.
Don't put it out there. Go ahead. How much?
I went and spent $20,000 for a coaching program with a coach that was not in alignment with my values. See, here's the thing with the values, was not in alignment with my values, but she was spitting that, okay, I can help you earn blah, 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 blah. It was that game there.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, my intuition is like, bitch, girl, don't do that. Don't stop. Ego was like, let's go get this paper. Let's make we can deal with spirit later. Let's get this paper.
Wow.
And everything in me was like, this is not the best decision for you. But it's like, if I just do this one thing, then, it's going to blow up and it's going to be great. Yeah. It did blow up. I made the most money working with her that I'd ever made in my coaching business career. However, I was burned out. My relationships were shot. I was, when I tell you exhausted wasn't even the word. When I stopped working with her, I shut my business down for like 3 to 4 months.
Oh, wow.
That's just how exhausted I was. That was the level of hustle and grind that this was. And it's like, this is not how I wanted to build my business. I'm doing shit in my business that I actually had no interest in doing. Like I had no interest in coaching people because it's more of like the therapy route. That's not how my brain works. I want to hit it and quit it. I want you to come in. I want to do something with you for a day. I want us to be, I want us to be friends, but I don't want to see you every week. Like that's not how I operate. But that was the best $20,000 lesson that I
That's expensive as hell, but okay.
But it helped me to see a couple of things. One was the way she was running her business. I knew that, like, they say work with somebody who you kind of want pieces of what. I knew in no way, shape, or form that I want the relationships that she had. I didn't want the business model. I knew that boundaries, like I really learned that boundaries with your clients were absolutely essential or it was going to burn you out. I got really clear, like it helped me in the most, I'm hard-headed. So it helped me in the most painful way to see, one, my intuition do be really knowing what she be talking about. And two, whenever you step out of alignment with your values and you don't listen to that inner still voice, the probability of it going left is really high. And so then I had to look into, well, why do I keep using this as my pain point, right? Segue to therapy. Okay, I have this penchant for effing things up so I can fix them, right? I have this thing of wanting to fix. Okay, so I'm good with that pattern now. Can we do something else? So now it's about replacing it with, I don't necessarily need for things to be hard or messed up or like switching the paradigm to where I can be successful with ease. Like ease is possible. You don't have to. And part of the grind culture are the stories of people who had nothing, who maxed out credit cards to get to where they are. Like, I don't have to max out a credit card to get a 10K month. I don't have to be tired and never see my family or spend time with my husband, who I actually love and like. Like, we still like each other after 20 some years.
Wow.
That deep. I don't have to ruin that and burn that to hell. Like, you know, who am I going to have left after I make this money the grind way?
Right.
Nobody, because my husband going to take them children and I'm going to be sitting at home by myself.
With your money in your bag.
With my money, because I'm going to be like, now men get child support and alimony. What? No. Okay, look, we're not doing that. So that was my self-aware and effed up. That was the biggest one. And I'm a person that tries to get lessons out of everything, because my saying is, okay, God, universe, whoever up there, I'm trying to get everything in this life period. So if you decide to bring my spirit back, I'm a tree. I'm a flower. I don't have to do nothing but sway in the breeze.
I'm here for it.
I don't want to come back in human form. Like, I don't want to have any more lessons that I need to learn, that I need to come back and do this shit again. I'm straight. Can I be a tree or a flower? So it's all about getting the lessons out of the missteps that I make so I can move forward and move upward.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's, I mean, the 20K lesson, I don't want to pay 20K for a lesson, but it definitely sounds like it was something impactful for you. But I just want to say I appreciate your vulnerability and being able to share that, because a lot of us are really, really self-aware and effed up, and we do the same shit over and over again with expecting different results.
Insanity.
Yeah. And so I think I'm glad that you felt comfortable enough to kind of share that, you know, because it is definitely something that people can learn from and grow from or whatever. Trusting that intuition, it is so important. And we know that little voice in our head telling us, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what to do, but you don't do it because it's like, oh, it's going to be different this time. Oh, it's going to
either it's going to be different, or in some way, shape, or form, I can change something. Or I can make it work for me, even though like my intuition is screaming at me at the top of its lungs, even though spirit is like trying to shake me out of it. And it, you know, if you notice, it'd be so many red flags and stuff that be getting in the way. And then we as humans still go, well, that's just seeing if I'm really serious about my goal. No, boo-boo, it's not.
It is not a sign. You need to abort right now. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just stop.
Just let it go.
But we a lot of us struggle with that. But Charmaine, I so appreciate your time and your openness and sharing about your journey, and also sharing how you help other people. How can people connect with you if they want to be able to use your consulting firm, or if they want to listen to your podcast? Like, how can they connect with you?
If you go to thecharmedlife.me, you'll be able to find my podcast episodes. Like, that's like the hub. You'll be able to like find the podcast episodes. You'll be able to see when the next workshop is. You'll be able to learn more about my one-day VIP days. Because again, I'm a short-term girlfriend. I only want to see you once. So it's a one-day VIP day, but it's really intense. But it helps you to get things in order. So all of that's over at thecharmedlife.me on social, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. It's Charmed with Char. I am primarily on Instagram. I'm primarily on LinkedIn and Facebook. Not so much Instagram. It makes my head hurt. So, but I'm there. If you need to inbox me, I do check them, but primarily Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay. So you guys know how to reach her. You can also find out how to reach Charmaine in the link of the description. Will be all of that information will be there for you guys to be able to connect with Charmaine. So again, Charmaine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Attention. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. So for you guys who are listening, make sure you guys connect with Charmaine. Also, make sure that you connect with me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.